23 innocents lost their life in the Mumbai stampede due to criminal negligence of the Babus and the Netas. But not one of them has been booked for the failure to ensure safety of passengers. The police have been shockingly reluctant to name any of the accused. No FIR, and you will see these hard facts on your screens. No FIR, not one document to suggest that there are people within the administration who are complicit. And this is after 90 hours of the tragedy. No FIR in this case. The Mumbai police has only registered an accidental death report, believe it or not. Accidental death report. No case of negligence has been filed against the Babus responsible, and there are several directly responsible or Netas for dereliction of their responsibility or their duty. Now, this is in sharp contrast to what happens in different parts of the world and what happens with individuals in the private sector right here in this country. In London, after the Grenfell Tower tragedy, local officials were booked for manslaughter. That's right, for manslaughter. Times Now is intent on exposing the negligent approach of the authorities that smacks of callousness and complicity. On your screen, in just a few moments, there you see him, is the station master of Elphinstone station. He is supposed to be the man who is responsible for the upkeep of the station, but you will be shocked to hear him literally laugh away your loss and your sorrow at the death of the commuters. You might be grieving. Relatives might be demanding justice, but this man is busy smirking, smiling, and generally endorsing this criminal chalta hai attitude. This man, as I said, is an example of this chalta hai attitude that is being, and I say this with responsibility, patronized by the state. Why else then has this man not been booked? Why else is he sitting there laughing away your sorrow? And he's not alone. He's not alone. There are several others. Watch this play out. Watch this play out on the screens.
आज पुलिस खड़ी है सर, तो क्या उस दिन पुलिस थी नहीं वहाँ पे? बस ये जानना चाहता हूँ। आज तो इनफ पुलिस लगी वहाँ पे, हमने पूरा वहाँ का फोटो वहाँ पे मैंने किया था। तो क्राउड मैनेजमेंट नहीं हुआ था प्रॉपर वहाँ पे, स्टैम्पेड हुआ। क्योंकि आज तो 3-4 आप लोगों ने वो खड़े करके रखे हैं ना, मैंने नहीं खड़े कर रखे यार। तो इतना बड़ा हादसा हो गया ना, तो अपने आप तो थी पुलिस ही नहीं थी सर, ऑफ द रिकॉर्ड आपका मतलब उस समय पुलिस थी। हाँ हाँ, तो पुलिस की कंप्लीट प्रॉपर अरेंजमेंट है यार। देखो मेरी बात छोटा रिकॉर्ड बात कर सोशल मीडिया पे सर इतना सारा लोग अटैक करके आपको ऑफिशियली एक कंप्लेंट रिटर्न है इसके बारे में, ब्रिज की शिकायत, मतलब बिल्कुल चौड़ा करना है। हाँ नहीं, वो शिकायत को लेकर कि यहाँ क्राउड होता है, ये होता है। नहीं, मेरे पास ऑन रिकॉर्ड कुछ भी नहीं है। ऑन रिकॉर्ड जो है मेरे पास इवन हेडक्वार्टर से भी, हाँ कहीं से भी नहीं सर। लेकिन ये बात चल सकती थी ना, मेरे पास थोड़ी भेजेगा। हाँ सर, भाई ऊपर वाला भी मुझे रिपोर्ट करेगा। सोशल मीडिया पे तो इतना लिख रहे थे, और उस दिन हम लोग इंटरव्यू कर रहे थे उधर के। आपको क्या लगता है ये मेरे पास मिला, मैं आपको नहीं बोलता वही थी सर मेरे पास। तो मैंने आपको बाहर भी बताया था, मेरे को तो किसी पब्लिक ने मतलब बरूरी भी कंप्लेंट की कि को थोड़ा करवाओ, इसको बड़ा करवाओ। और उस दिन हम लोग को प्रिंट मीडिया में खड़ा हो गया था, कोर्ट वोट मिले कि हम लोग बहुत कंप्लेन किया, रेलवे को कुछ नहीं हुआ। ये सर आपसे ये आपने ऊपर हाई लेवल पे किया। हाँ, मुझे रेस्पॉन्सिबल लेकिन सर रश तो होता है ना सर पीता
सर मैं आपको वही तो बोल रहा हूँ ना प्लीज रश नहीं होता सर उस समय वो तो इंसिडेंट हो गई है रश नहीं होता मुझको ये बताओ अब चलो मैं आपको इससे ज्यादा रश बता दूँ आपको कितने सारे मिल रहे उस दिन की बात अलग थी स्टेगनेंट हो गई थी पब्लिक गई नहीं थी
He thinks it's all one big joke. Smirking, dismissing the concerns, lying, it's all happening on your screens. He says no one raised any hue and cry about this bridge. No one, in fact, even made a noise to the contrary, calling upon us to make changes. And he said, let me take you to other stations. There are many more people. This is all regular. People come. There's not even a verbal complaint, he says. This is a state of denial. How can this man, this station master, this manager of everything, how can he not have a care in the world? Not a care in the world. Doesn't his conscience shout out to him? Those are some fundamental questions, Siddhant. I'm absolutely shocked to hear this. This man is not only lying, he's dismissive, he smirks, he's a smart aleck. There's no other word. Smart aleck. Anil Gupta, Elphinstone station master, is a smart aleck. Look at the way he has lied and he has disregarded the concerns of the people. Siddhant.
Well, absolutely, Rahul. You know, the way he is smiling in the conversation. And not only this, he came out with the 3 major revelations. Those are lies. He said that till this time, in last 51 months, he has not he has not received a single complaint from the passengers. Not only this, he accepted that no passenger even came to him to complain verbally, which is a lie. We know that on social media how commuters were tagging rail department, the officials, and rail ministry. And if he is right, then there is some communication problem from Western Railway headquarters to station master. That means the station master was not kept in loop. The top bosses were aware that there is problem with this footover bridge, but station master was not kept in loop. First point. Second point, he pushed all blame on rains. He said that suddenly rains took place and people, to protect themselves, they came inside that shade and their stampede took place. And the third, he accepted there was no proper police arrangement. He is the station master. He is superior to all the authorities. He can write a letter to RPF or GRP and ask for a proper police bandobast on that footover bridge for the crowd management. That means there was no crowd management. And the fourth and the very crucial one, he said that the crowd is manageable on that footover bridge. That means he's lying. He's lying.
He's lying completely. He's lying, and that's been established. Now, Kajol, when we can see it, when the viewers can see it, why don't the police see it? They insulted by reducing death and tragedy to a statistic. Now you have a situation where this man is smirking as if there's been no tragedy, as if nothing has happened.
Yes, in fact, it is the insensitivity, the callousness that has led to this tragedy, and that can be exemplified by the number of complaints that had gone from the citizens that were tagging all the authorities concerned, including even the police officials, but nothing has been done. And now that the tragedy has happened, even then, everything is going in proper bureaucratic manner. People are saying, okay, we have filed
But what are the police telling you?
Investigate. We have taken witness statements of such and such number of people.
What are the police telling you?
That is what they're saying, that we have taken an ADR, an accidental death report, and we will investigate. That's all they are saying. They haven't yet committed to an FIR. They are just saying that it's an accidental death report. We need time to investigate and then file an FIR.
I don't know. What time? What time are they waiting for? Just stay on with me. I'm going to bring in Vishwas Pathak, spokesperson of the Mumbai Bharatiya Janata Party, Abha Singh, lawyer and activist, Arun Bhatia, former IS officer. I want to come out to you, Mr. Pathak. I want to ask you straight off the bat. Don't you think people should be held responsible, sir, for this murder of innocents? And why is it that people haven't been booked?
See, this tragic incident which has happened on 20th December was really unfortunate, and there are no words to express, and there is no question of defending these incidents. We accept this is a failure, and therefore the newly elected Railway Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, who landed on at same time.
One second, Mr. Pathak, I understand that Mr. Piyush Goyal working towards the future is going to change the destiny of the railways, and may the gods give him power. I'm only asking you, what about today? Your party that claims to make no distinction between people in office and criminals is sitting here today, sir, vacillating and telling me what the railway minister has said. I'm aware, India is aware of what the railway minister has said. You tell me, why should this rail manager of this station not be behind bars? I'm asking you, for dereliction. Why is it that the DRM and the rail manager are sitting in their lovely offices in air conditioning?
See, whosoever is responsible, he has to be.
You don't know who's responsible, Mr. Pathak?
No doubt about that.
You don't know who's responsible.
However,
no, so why is there no FIR? Why aren't you asking the police this question? The police reports to your government, sir.
No, listen, you cannot jump to the conclusion who is responsible and who is not responsible.
Really?
At very first instance, inquiry is being instituted. Inquiry will be conducted.
By whom?
Whosoever is
who is conducting the inquiry, sir? No, who is conducting the inquiry?
Anybody.
Can I ask you, who's conducting this inquiry?
High level inquiry is being conducted by straightaway by railway minister. And
by railway minister,
everything will come out.
So the railway minister is going to. One second, Mr. Pathak, just a minute. Let's not get beyond ourselves. So you're saying
railway
that,
minister
1 minute,
has
that railway officials, excuse me, 1 minute.
Inquiry
yes,
committee.
so railway officials are going to stand in judgment of other railway officials. Is this a joke? Are we in some sort of a circus? Mr. Pathak?
Gentlemen, inquiry doesn't mean passing judgment.
No, so what does it mean then? What does it mean? No, what does it mean? Are you going to tell me, sir, that those... No, what do you mean? No, hang on. Then there's no purpose of an inquiry. If an inquiry cannot establish guilt, then why have an inquiry? Is it an eyewash, your inquiry? Are you saving the hides and the skins of individuals who have made it a profession to be chalta hai? To allow people to die? Don't you have any regard for human life, Mr. Pathak? I'm asking you. Tonight.
See, no, there is no question of chalta attitude. That's the reason why this.
You know what? You know, Mr. Pathak, I thought I have a sneaking suspicion. No, 1 second, Mr. Pathak. I really am beginning to feel that you are thinking, your party thinks that this entire story is going to blow away. 2-3 दिन में मीडिया भूल जाएगा 2-3 दिन में मीडिया भूल जाएगा and फिर हम अपना करते रहेंगे. We'll send a couple of other people to their deaths. There is a situation developing in 2 or 3 other stations. Mr. Pathak, you cannot bring yourself to ask the police to file an FIR. You're giving me guarantees here, and then you're saying that inquiry is not supposed to find guilt. Then why have an inquiry? What is this? Is it a fact-finding mission? Why don't you just ask the people, sir, who've been writing letters to you?
I'm trying to say...
And your mantris. No, what are you trying to say? Explain to me.
No, what I am trying to say, even if media forgets, this government is not going to forget.
I can see that. 72 hours, sir, you've forgotten in your FIR to name people. This is the state of affairs, and I'm opening this out. Arun Bhatia and Abha Singh. Let me bring you in, Mr. Bhatia. What do you make of Mr. Pathak's responses tonight? There is the railway station manager sitting there, smirking, laughing. Look at his face. He's completely unrepentant, has no care in the world, is mocking the victims, mocking all of those who have actually lost their loved ones. And he thinks nothing of it, denies that there was ever, in fact, even a warning.
Sir, I'm still on standby.
I think, sir, you put your finger on two very important issues which are often lost sight of and which need to be urgently addressed within the system, within the administration. The first is fixing of responsibility, the accountability of the civil servant. This is a catastrophe, but perhaps in India it's more important to see what happens, what further action is taken to see that this doesn't keep on happening. We are waiting for these disasters. That is the first thing. The second is the nature of the action. In India, we have a very monolithic system where the administration erects a project, inspects it, certifies it, and passes the bill. There is no outsourcing of inspection, there's no physical audit. No, it's the same thing which is happening in this incident. That is why the station master is so smug. He's so happy because he knows never will the accountability be fixed on officials, especially those who are senior. Now, there's a very elaborate system of maintenance and inspection within each department. So it's not only the station master, sir, it is also the person who was given the budget to implement the improvement or the widening of the bridge.
Precisely.
We should go step by step, stage by stage, day by day regarding the movement of that file, and you will be able to fix responsibility.
No one wants to. It's a question of will. Kajal, I want to bring you in here.
Sir, send these guys.
I think Mr. Bhatia has made the right point. Start tracing the movement of that file and you will find who had the blood on their hands and who was quick to pass buck and both blame. Now, Kajal, I'm asking you this question. You have spoken to a large number of police officers. What are they telling you off record? Don't tell me what they're telling you on record because we've heard it. What are they telling you off record? Is there pressure on them?
First of all, if you remember, Rahul, there was a fight about jurisdiction, whether the local police will in fact take up this case or not. And now that it has been decided that the local police will be taking up this case, now the issue where they are stuck at is they are saying that there is also an internal railway report that is going to come in, and that railway report will have the correct chronology of who was responsible for what file, etc., etc., and that they will need to tally their investigation with that before coming to any conclusion. So the way I see it, there is a lot of bureaucratic process going on, but nothing that is concrete that is happening right now.
Okay. Bureaucracy, red tape. Abha Singh, how do you cut through this red tape?
See that that area itself had only 30 lakh square feet of commercial area, but the way land was given to the builders, so much FSI was given. There is now 1.3 crore square feet which is used for commercial. So clearly shows it's a politician-builder collusion. We all have seen the way so many railway accidents took place. The country was clamoring that Suresh Prabhu should be removed, but he was rewarded by being made the commerce minister. So the government was absolutely apathetic towards the woes of the railway commuters. People were dying, nothing was happening. In this case, if you see very clearly, when it was clear that the mill land was to be used by Mahada for housing the poor people, for open spaces, all that was violated. In fact, the BJP MLA, Mr. Lodha, has been given an FSI of more than 4, be it World 1, be it Park. And you just see the way Environment Impact Assessment Committee report has been violated. So their own people would be at fault, and that is the reason no FIR has been registered. Otherwise, under 304A of the IPC, criminal negligence FIR had to be registered. People from the BMC, Urban Development Ministry and Railways should have been arrested for the lives lost. It is a clear case of corruption, political collusion with the builders, and that is why everybody is quiet, because they are just waiting for media.
Mr. Pathak, you've heard a very experienced lawyer and you've heard a very experienced former government servant, Arun Bhatia, speaking and saying that your police is obfuscating. Are they all out of their minds to be making these points, sir? Are you going to be so smug and give me your obviously pre-prepared answers and not tell me that tomorrow your party is going to go to the police station and get these people booked for manslaughter? Simple question.
See, there is a process of law, and for your information, this Maharashtra government is headed by Mr. Devendra Fadnavis, under whom this Home Ministry also comes.
So what is he doing?
You know his
90 hours.
And looking at the action which he has ordered.
90 hours, sir.
No FIR is registered because the CM heads the answer is here.
It can be 90 hours, it can be 95 hours also.
And he's not allowing the police to register.
No, why? Why delay? I mean, look at yours, sir. Look at the way you are speaking tonight. Have a heart, sir. It can be 95 hours also. You go and tell. Why don't you?
The BJP MLA of that area is a land shark himself.
This spokesperson must go to the houses today of those that are grieving, and you should tell them, "Koi baat nahi. It can take 100 hours. It can also take 129 hours also. What is the big deal?" Mr. Pathak, have some shame. Officials are today mocking murder, and you are being complicit.
No shame, absolute greed.
No, don't impose. No, please don't impose words in my mouth. All I'm trying to say, with due process of law, whatever time would be taken.
Sir, what I'm suggesting is also due process of law. You name individuals, you begin an inquiry, you can always see whether the facts hold up. There is no contradiction in what I'm saying. Are you telling me, sir, that after rapes and murders, people are not named? Yes, they are named. Then the police investigates after they file an FIR against a particular person. After that, they draw up a charge sheet, and that charge sheet is then placed before the court, except in the case of this mass murder. That's what is surprising me. Tell me.
All I have to say, action will be taken.
When?
And there is no question of sparing anyone.
Your government charge-sheeted, booked, filed an FIR against Mr. Malia, rightly so, against Warren Anderson, rightly so, against several other people. Not in this particular case. You have no people to judge, to pronounce as offenders, prima facie. Explain to me, Mr. Pathak, what are you expecting Times Now to sit here and do with you? Do you think I'm going to soft pedal this entire issue? I'm asking you, sir, what is holding you back and your party back from going to the police station and filing an FIR against those 6 people, and their names, in case you have forgotten them, are up on the screens, and I'm going to put out the graphic, and let's roll and let's read them out. I'll do a roll call, after which I'll take a short break. Let's look at those. Those are the names. On the left of your screens, they're going to come up on a graphic. It's a rotating graphic. They will be Mr. Jain, who will be the GM of Western Railways. We will be talking about Sushil Chandra. There you see it. Anil Gupta, Station Master, Elphinstone. Mukul Jain, DRM, Divisional Railway Manager. Anil Gupta, General Manager, Western Railways. No FIR against them. Why? Dharmender Kumar, Director General, RPF. Why? Sushil Chandra, Commissioner, RPF. Why? I'm asking these questions tonight of the Bharatiya Janata Party that finds itself in zero position to answer my question. God alone knows why. We have smugness, we have complete lack of contrition, and we don't even have an individual today willing to look up and say, I am sorry that we have been so lax. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a few moments. Don't go away.
Tonight, face off after the left trolls RSS. Is appeasement sinking India? Watch the debate on the News Hour at 9.
I have a problem with open-ended questions. Questions that allow for obfuscation.
You have not answered any of my questions. You have danced and deflected. Don't make us wear dunce caps, sir.
Questions that don't yield the hard fact.
What would you have had Major Gogoi do? Should he have opened fire? I'm asking you, should he have opened fire, yes or no?
Because only the absolute fact will clinch the argument.
15 judges have sat in judgment of Pakistan. Were you about to commit premeditated murder?
Only airtight questions bring closure.
Here is a meticulous register of payments which goes straight into the Hurriyat office. Is the Hurriyat nothing more but the Dalal of Pakistan?
Why settle for anything less? Demand the absolute hard fact.
No one knows their true metal until it's been tested. Until it emerges from the fiery chasm of experience, as it flows through the true course of credibility. Until it gives form to raw insights, striking every lead with full force on the anvil of journalistic integrity, fortifying your trust with our principles and values. We know our true metal because you've tested it. Time's now. Action begins here.
The Morning News Hour.
You are just bothered of saying Hindu and Muslim. We are not saying Hindu and Muslim. We are saying what's wrong and what's right, sir.
When people try and misconstrue and portray a wrong image, you have to call their bluff.
Thanks for joining me live.
Our crusader for the people.
We're going to end this debate on the fact that it's crime ki baat. It's not parivar ki baat, it's crime ki baat.
His questions can't be avoided.
She has been strangulated. You are contesting elections in Uttar Pradesh. What is happening in Uttar Pradesh?
His cause won't be denied.
You know you're sitting there with a responsibility.
4 people died, nobody was bothered. Today a girl has been strangulated, it is still a hodgepodge investigation. How is this right?
His passion for justice sets the agenda.
Most importantly, integrity and honesty. We as a channel fiercely guard that, and I as a person fiercely guard that.
Anand Narsimhan on Times Now. Action begins here.
The Morning News Hour.
A bitter face-off is threatening to polarize the volatile festive season, during which there have been clashes reported from numerous places between Hindus and Muslims in Uttar Pradesh. Powerful Muslim voice and Member of Parliament Asaduddin Owaisi has launched a no-holds-barred attack on saffron satrap, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Owaisi has accused Yogi of denting Sabka Saath and unleashing majoritarianism by forsaking his role as Chief Minister by assuming religious duties at the Gorakhnath Mutt. Here is what Mr. Owaisi has said in response to some of the issues that have bubbled up to the surface in the advent of Mr. Yogi assuming the role of a Mahant.
Unfortunately, the present Chief Minister of UP has blurred that line, and I would say that in the interest of propriety and in the interest of general public, to sustain purity of public life, the Chief Minister in future should not engage himself in any such activities which leads to direct conflict between his constitutional duties. So what we have seen is that he has failed as an administrator so far, and Yogi Adityanath as a Mahant is overshadowing, unfortunately, Yogi as a Chief Minister, which is a constitutional post.
No, is Yogi's religion overshadowing his responsibility? That's the baseline question. The BJP may dismiss Ovi's rant as born out of a desire to score brownie points. Hard facts would suggest that there has been a sudden spurt in communal temperature in Uttar Pradesh over the last few days. Hard facts are on your screens. There have been clashes between Hindus and Muslims. 10 incidents have been reported, both minor and major, over the last 48 hours. Incidents in Kanpur, Balia and Kushinagar were serious attempts at disrupting communal harmony. Now let's throw this open for debate. Joining me this evening, Shazia Ilmi of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Subhrashta, political entrepreneur. Also with us, Suneet Chopra, senior leader of the CPM, and Waris Pathan, national spokesperson of the MIM, the party that is led by Mr. Owaisi. Now I want to ask you, straight off the bat, Mr. Waris Pathan, during the UPA tenures, the state, that is the UPA, funded the Mansarovar Yatra for the Hindus and continued to provide the Hajj subsidy to Muslims. Isn't that a blurring of the role between the church and the state, or the lines between secularism and constitution and religion and secularism, sir? Varis bhai, can you hear me? Okay, we're going to try and get him on the line. Let me ask this question of Shazia Ilmi. Shazia Ilmi, is there a problem? Is religion overshadowing responsibility? Mr. Brashta, if you can hear me, Mr. Brashta, is there a conflict here? Is there a problem?
No, I don't think there is a problem at all. I mean, if there would have been Hajj subsidies would have been taken away and a yatra was promoted, it would have been a problem. But that has been the form of secularism in this country. Now, the question that you ask, Rahul, is a larger question whether this form of secularism is right for India or not. And this may, have the house divided. But in the current format, however flawed the format is, both the communities and other communities included have been given as much of state patronage as has been mandated. So I don't think there's any question of controversy here.
No, some people will say that by adopting the role of a Mahant, etc., you are only giving state sanction to one religion, and Mr. Yogi Adityanath is behaving like the chief minister of only one group of people, which is the Hindus in the state of Uttar Pradesh, Shazia Ilmi. Do you agree with this contention? Because Mr. Owaisi is livid.
No, Mr. Owaisi will play his kind of politics, which is about creating this fear of the saffron and the right wing, so to speak, as he calls it. But speaking from the point of view of the Chief Minister, in this case, one, there is no dereliction of duty. Two, there is no conflict of interest whatsoever. There is no pecuniary or monetary gains from assuming the role or fulfilling the role of a Mahant, which he did and which he's been doing for many, many years. After all, he's been the MP several times, and he is Yogi Adityanath. He is the Mahant of the...
No, but he's also had some very coarse things to say about the Muslim community. So when he's cloaked in saffron like this, obviously the minorities in the state would think that they are not going to find favor.
Rahul, he has donned this identity suddenly. He has always been wearing the saffron robe. Like many people have been wearing topi in this country.
That doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying.
You can win on the back of a consolidated Hindu vote. No Muslim might have even voted for Mr. Yogi Adityanath. In fact, you never even gave tickets.
Why would he change that? Why would he change that?
No, your question
if there is some discrimination. No. Rahul, I'm making another point.
Tell me, which one of you is making the point? Shazia Ilmi, you speak first.
Discrimination against Muslims. If there were to be any discrimination, if there were to be any real discrimination where policies are concerned, if there were to be any discrimination where implementation of those policies was concerned, if there was indeed some kind of favoritism being done to majority community as opposed to the
But tell me, when you don't give tickets to Muslims, isn't that discrimination on the basis of religion? I'm simply asking you this question. When you don't even give them state authority, you don't give them a position in government, you don't give them a ticket, you don't even have...
in the BJP?
How many MLAs do you have from the Muslim community, ma'am?
No, this is talking about... Okay, this is not the question for Yogi Adityanath ji, this is a question for BJP leadership. So this is another topic, but I'll discuss this also. I'm ready to discuss this because I did with the elections.
Thank you for bringing that in.
How many Muslims have joined the BJP? How many Muslims are there? How many Muslims are there as members of BJP?
Okay.
Only when Muslims will join the BJP in numbers, and I'm sure they will now. We see what happened in Gujarat in the yesteryears. There were very few Muslim members, and now many more of them did. And you just see in the civic elections, in the municipal elections, how many more Muslims have won on the BJP ticket.
It is important for me to ask these questions.
The whole politics of UP,
it is important for me to ask these questions so we establish the arguments.
It's been about keeping...
fair enough. It's important for me to answer these questions. No,
Please
it's important for you to answer and for me to ask. So we establish the facts. Okay, you've established the facts. You've said three things. Number one, don't hold Mr. Yogi Adityanath responsible, because remember, and this is very crucial, he has always donned saffron robes. He never kept it a secret from anyone that he was actually a Mahant first and a chief minister by consensus later. One. Two, that he has never hid his predilections towards his own religion and the performance of his religious duty. Number three, he has never discriminated in state policies between religions that have been announced. Most importantly, number four, he has been extremely fair in dispersing the state's largesse to all communities equally. So, let me ask Mr. Varis Pathan, what's the problem? Manmohan Singh as Prime Minister hosted an iftar party in August 2012, which was attended by several people, several top politicians. No one raised a noise then when the role of what some people would have said was a secular Prime Minister was being blurred along religious lines.
Rahul, the question here is, let me make one thing very, very clear. I am not against anybody practicing his religious duties. Everybody has got a right to practice religion of his own choice. But Yogi Adityanath, he is the Chief Minister of UP. He goes for 5 days as a Mahant, taking all his entourage along with him, including his secretaries, his bodyguards, everybody goes along with him there, and he is doing his religious duties as a Mahant. This is totally against, contrary to the Supreme Court guidelines. The Supreme Court's recent judgment says that public money cannot be used for the purpose, for the religious purposes.
Really?
Simple as
so
this.
what is
and
performance of Hajj? Isn't Hajj a
last night? Now you've been cornered. Now you've been cornered because you. No, so your senior party
I have not completed my statement. Kindly allow me to make my point.
Now you can hear Varis saying. No, Varis. Now you're changing the goalpost.
How can he use the public money? Whose money? Whose money is used for the purpose? Is public. Exchequer's amount is being used. Exchequer's amount is being used for the purposes of religious functions.
He did not use the security.
This is not going against the contract.
And he was out in the open chariot and open rath, making him vulnerable. So in the fact,
one second. Whether funds were used or not is slightly slightly tangential. No, 1 minute. Okay, Shazia and me, there's a more incisive point to be drawn. 1 second, Mr.
Shazia, you are interfering in between, then the debate goes heavier.
Okay, but Mr. Pathan, state funded the Mansaro Yatra for Hindus and the Hajj.
No, you just changed the debate.
And subsidy was provided for Hajj also by the state. That is also taxpayer money, sir. At that time, performing of Hajj is a religious duty. So I'm asking you, you had no problems with the state giving out money from the taxpayer towards subsidy for a religious duty. There's no problem.
Rahul, that is why I said, Rahul, I am here. I am not a spokesperson for the Congress first, but I am citing the Supreme Court judgment. I am a lawyer as well. And the
so
Supreme
should we
Court
do away with the Hajj subsidy?
The public money cannot be used for any religious purposes. So whoever uses it will be answerable for that.
No,
and
should we scrap the where were you?
Your money, my
where were you asking questions? Money. Should we scrap the Hajj subsidy? No, I'm asking you, should we scrap the Hajj subsidy, sir? Band karwao. Kyun dena?
See, we are saying, yeah, we are always against that. Cancel the Hajj
You
subsidy.
are against the Hajj subsidy.
Give that amount for the education of girls, for the education purposes.
So number two.
We were always.
Do you believe? Okay, 1 minute.
We have always been vocal about feeling on the Hajj subsidy issue.
Very good.
Give those money for the education purposes.
So the MIM makes it very clear we don't want Hajj subsidies.
No, I can.
1 minute. I'm asking you point number 2. 1 second.
Mudra Yojana, in the Jan Dhan Yojana,
we have been making this statement earlier as well.
If there is any discrimination vis-a-vis Muslims, then indeed you must nab and must ask tough questions of the CM. But at this point of time, when there is no discrimination in terms of dispensation of the government's duty, in terms of policy implementation.
No.
If the Ujjwala scheme is benefiting both Muslim women,
I don't know. People know. No. Mamata Banerjee allowed Siddiqullah Chaudhary from her party to offer namaz in her office in 2015. No problem. No one raised a noise then.
Which is his religious
Rahul,
no, 1 minute.
right to do so.
Rahul, to utter dismay and surprise, what I saw today is something very different.
No. There is something very
Rahul,
strange
today,
here.
what
Arvind
I got to
Kejriwal
hear
hosts
is
an
that
iftar party.
Taj
Dr.
Mahal
Manmohan
is
Singh hosts an
cancelled
iftar
from the
party. No
tourism
questions
line.
are asked. State money is used for both, at least in the case of the UPA government and their iftar parties. They were sanctioned. Now that's not a blurring in your words and in your books, Mr. Chopra. Let me go across to him, Mr. Chopra. Should we get rid of the Hajj subsidy? Should we get rid of all these iftar parties that are hosted at public expense by governments and political parties? Should we get rid of, most importantly, any tendency towards...
held by private individuals, it is sponsored by private individuals.
No, not true.
Yeah, I have been holding iftar
not
party
true. In the
my
Prime Minister's
constituency,
residence, I don't remember the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister coming out and saying that I'm doing out of my own pocket. Now, 1 minute. Let me bring in Mr. Sunit Chopra. Mr. Chopra, where do you stand on this?
What? On iftar parties?
No, on the whole debate.
Hello?
Mr. Yogi's role as a Mahant, is it coming in the way of his duties? Simple question. The larger question.
Either you are a Mahant, or you are a minister. The point is, so many children have died in Gorakhpur. Where was Mr. Yogi? And I'll give you the figures that the UP government has given. That in the years... on 18th July...
We know the
2017.
Figures. Why were these... Is this the first time that children have died of encephalitis?
I was there on the same channel.
Sir, 30,000 children have died. It's an unfortunate tragedy.
What are you...
30,000 children have died since 1985 because of encephalitis. Year on year. They were not Mahants ruling the state back then.
Meat ban destroyed enormous amount of
2 points.
Jobs of work.
Tragedies have never happened. Tragedies have never happened. 1 minute. Tragedies have never happened. No. Incubator deaths have not happened in West Bengal. In Bengal, people have lived cushy lives. Come on. You're talking about the duty being impinged if someone goes and becomes a Mahant. I'm saying that they are able-bodied, full-time chief ministers who are not doing any better. Two wrongs don't make a right. But I think you're barking up the wrong tree.
Is the minister.
1 second.
I would like to come back to the point that is being debated today.
Why is he shouting?
I would like to debate the point that is
because all of you are shouting.
Point number 1, and these are 2 points I wish to make.
If you allow me to speak normally, I will.
In Navjot Singh's case, when he won the election and was made the minister, that there was a High Court ruling which allowed him to continue to keep another office of profit, which was his income. 1. 2, what is actual problem here is what Mamata Banerjee did vis-a-vis Durga Puja and Muharram procession, saying that Durga festivities will not be allowed. That, I think, is a mockery because
the man who doesn't know what is going on in Gorakhpur when he is Mahant.
And as for the children's death and the incubation,
and
let me tell you that has been discussed. We discussed it. So let's stick to the point, Mr. Chopra. The very fact that you're veering off the path means that you don't have much to offer on this particular debate where we're discussing whether he can play his role as a Mahant because he is not gaining any
let's 1 second. Back off. Both of you back off, please.
Unlike the former Chief Minister
Mr. Chopra, Miss Ilmi, 1 second. Let me bring in Subrashta.
Stars and Saifi using public money.
Okay, let me bring in Subrashta.
This lady will never stop. Let her carry on.
No, 1 second. Let me bring in Subrashta. Please.
No,
let's maintain some decorum.
Another lady is also there to make a couple of statements against what you just spoke, Sunit sir. This presumptuous grandeur of how a chief minister should behave might happen in communist China. It doesn't happen in India. We are ruled by a parliamentary democracy. We have a process in place.
If you
Yogi
think it's
Adityanath
not
ji is there as a
presumptuous, this man
constitutional.
is not a
I'm sorry, Mr.
parliamentary
Sunil.
man.
Learn some manners.
He never won
Back
an election.
off. Let me speak.
He was
Let me
not
speak.
elected.
You what nonsense
Don't
are you
talk
talking?
rubbish.
He is elected as
You
an
don't
MP.
need manners when
And within the parliament.
over 700 have been
and
killed.
read the Indian constitution. Go and read the Indian constitution. Not
You
always
don't
Marxist
believe in the
literature helps
Indian
you score points
constitution. You
in
believe
debates
in the
like this.
RSS Hindu Raj. So don't fool me.
Of course I believe
You
in it.
can't
There's
fool
nothing
me
wrong
with
in
your
it.
screaming.
There is nothing wrong
You
in it.
can't
At least
fool
I'm
me
not
with your
lynching and
screaming.
raping women in
And
Tripura
you can put
and
up
Kerala. All right?
pictures
Please.
of a
You know
woman
what,
being
Mr.
disrobed
Sunit? Every
in
debate after
a
debate you
Bhojpuri
come,
film
you try to
to
hijack
show
the
what is
issue,
happening
make
in
a
West
fool of
Bengal.
yourself,
I
make
know
a
what
fool
you
of the
do.
ideology
So
that you
don't fool
represent,
me.
make a fool of the party that you represent, show people your true face. Please continue with it. But this country and the people of Uttar Pradesh will not cower down with
in
the
Gujarat,
stupidity
and you're
and
going
the
to fail all
presumptuous
over.
grandeur of the nonsense that you just dished
You
out.
failed
This
even in
either
Bhavana
or
in
narrative
Delhi.
does not work in. So yeah, I mean whatever your
And the
problem is
mess
with
you
Bhavana,
made in
with
Haryana,
Gujarat, you'll not
everybody
debate on
knows.
UP at all. Yeah, all right,
There,
Mr.
your
Sunil.
Mahant
You
is
can
no
do all this
different
political theatrics.
from Ram Rahim running the
My
government
Mahant
of Mr.
is
Khattar
a
in
chief
Haryana.
minister. Deal with it. It may burn your heart somewhere. It doesn't matter. He is a constitutionally
You can't
elected
be a
person,
Mahant
and you
and a
cannot make. He can be a Mahant and a chief minister. This is new India, sir. You can be. You can be. And this language that you are speaking, this violent language, is the bane of communist ideology and communist party.
1 second.
No,
1
he
second.
will not do that.
Gentlemen.
He will not do that. And you have no one to ask him to do
Let's
that.
get back to
He
some.
will
No,
wear
let's
his
get back to
religion
some
on
hard
his
facts.
sleeve.
I
He
want
will
to
wear
ask
his
Varis Pathan.
spirituality
1 minute, please.
and
1
he
minute.
will govern.
Varis Pathan, you cannot run away tonight. 1 second, Mr. Chopra. Don't go off on one of those benders. Now calm down.
मजाक में सवाल क्यों नहीं उठाया था आपने, sir?
I want to ask you. I want to ask the MIM today. Okay, 1 second. I want to ask the MIM. Pranab Mukherjee, we all know this. It's an established fact. Pranab Mukherjee as finance minister in 2030, no less in authority than the finance minister of this country, became a priest for a short while during the Durga Puja celebrations. He did this twice, according to my source of information. At that time, no one raised a hue and cry.
Exactly.
Anand, Rahul, let me tell you, that is why the Supreme Court had to intervene, and the Supreme Court says that the public money cannot be used for religious purposes. And as far as Yogi is concerned, he has totally failed as an administrator. He has failed in performing his constitutional duties towards the state.
You have not answered my question. Where was the MIM? Why wasn't it getting exercised when Pranab Mukherjee swapped roles?
Coming to my point, but let me make
for
my
a short
point as
period
well,
of
because
time.
you're not allowing
Let me read out. West Bengal, this happened in West Bengal. Pranab Mukherjee took the role of a priest and worshipped Durga idol at his ancestral home in Mirata, village 200 kilometers from Kolkata. I have the clipping here. And this is the second time he attended the Durga Puja at Mukherjee House after being sworn in as President of India. Mukherjee reached here on Thursday afternoon.
On office and using the public money.
So he did. How do you think he traveled?
What you do with public money is something different.
Sir, I think you have different yardsticks for different people. When it suits you, where was the left when its own ideological partner in crime?
Don't confuse the
1 second. The Congress party was bending the same principle of propriety. I can't understand, Mr. Chopra. Why don't you find a problem with the actions of Dr. Manmohan Singh, Arvind Kejriwal, and Pranab Mukherjee? In 2013, I can't understand this. Explain to me.
Arvind Kejriwal is catching you on your fake records in the underground railways of Delhi. So
Mr. Arvind Kejriwal better be careful, because half his cabinet was on fake records. Don't you remember? They fudged their mark sheet, some of them. What are you I don't understand where you're coming from. What has that got to do with this debate? I'm asking you, when Arvind Kejriwal hosts an iftar party obviously at state expense, no problem.
He's confused and he doesn't know what to say.
It's different.
And right now, Mr. Chopra, let me tell you what is happening with the PLA in China
where people are dying
and communism.
in their scores
that beards,
for lack of
are
oxygen.
being banned.
And he's
Muslim
sitting
names
there
are not allowed.
doing
the copies
all
of
these
Quran are being
mumbo
confiscated. So
No,
here
one
you
sec.
sit and you defend Mr. Owaisi, but
Religion
you
might
must
be
know
and
what is
ritual might be
happening in
mumbo
the-
jumbo for you,
in the
sir.
Communist
But
Party
for a
in
large
China,
number of people,
where
it isn't.
PLA
Now I'm
is
asking a
actually,
specific question.
Banning beards and burqas.
It's not the
and
duty
not
of a
the
chief
copies of
minister.
Quran. So
He
I don't
could
know
have
what
put
form of
somebody else
communism
there
you
instead of
believe.
him.
Nobody
One
really
minute,
knows.
one minute,
And
one
you
minute.
can't selectively use
Let's look at some facts.
Constitution
The
because
argument
you
that
should have
the
spoken
argument
when
that
Mamta
religious
Banerjee
duties are
spoke against
distracting
the
Yogi
Durga
Adityanath
festivities.
might be a hollow one, given the fact that statistically we have
It's not
seen in the
hollow.
past. 1 minute. In the past, chief ministers who have been solely dedicated to their job have not fared any better. A comment on Mr. Yogi Adityanath failing as an administrator is a valid one. I am ready to have anyone come out and debate that. But to suggest that it's because his 5 days of religious instruction, etc., are reducing his efficiency is very far-fetched, very, very far-fetched. And
His
therefore, I want to go
efficiency
back to
is
Mr. Owaisi.
non-existent.
Mr. Owaisi, are you being selective?
700
Are you playing to the galleries? Are you trying to polarize? Are you trying to win over your constituency by pointing out something in the shadows? Simple question.
Facts before the nation is our duty, sir. Rahul sir, if we bring facts, proper facts before the nation, we are performing our duty. Let the nation know what is there in the constitution.
If you are saying that X number of children have died year on year on year on year in Uttar Pradesh, sadly as it is, I am willing to have that debate. Mr. Yogi Adityanath may not be effectively addressing that problem, and we have actually taken him to task here in this very studio on the deaths of those children with encephalitis. But to suggest that for 5 days because he went to perform a yajna or a ritual, this is happening, is unfortunately to miss the wood for the trees. You are only deflecting and diverting from the main issue, which is misgovernance.
And the CM is not there.
This is shocking.
Governance is there. Gorakhpur,
Yes, so make that point, but don't bring religion into it, because the moment you bring religion into it, you are polarizing for a particular reason. You're creating a fear psychosis. You are dividing society. You're pinning a religious... No. You're pinning an identity. Sir, you're pinning an identity to an individual, and you are suggesting that that individual is being directed by his identity to work in a particular way and direction.
Or you do your puja.
Okay, well, sir, I hope you're going to say that to. I hope you're going to say that to.
I have no objection.
I hope you're going to say that to leaders of other political parties who are involved in precisely that. We're going to leave it at that, because we have a selective argument here being made, a narrow argument that is being made. I'm leaving it at this. I think we've heard both points of views here. We've heard a point of view that suggests that because he performs these duties, he's not performing his main function as chief minister. The evidence suggests that he may not be actually performing effectively, irrespective of these other so-called distractions. That argument is a valid one. The record seems to suggest that things haven't really improved in Uttar Pradesh on certain indices as one had perceived they might have. We leave it at that. Lots more coming up on the News Hour at 9 with Navika Kumar.